Hey there, in this video, I walk you through 10 SQL questions using a single table. These questions are designed to test your analytical thinking and help you prepare for interviews or real world data problems. The questions may not be very complex, but similar questions you will definitely encounter in SQL interviews or data related role interviews. You will learn concepts like aggregation, grouping, filtering, ordering, and more, and all in one practice set, going through these 10 SQL questions on a single table. And for this, we are going to create a table which is the order info table, which has got order ID, customer ID, order date, product, quantity, and price. And we have given different constraints for the different columns as well. That is, order ID should be an integer, which will be the primary key of that particular table. Then customer ID will be variable character. Order date will be acting as the date. Then product will be again variable character. Then quantity will be an integer, and price will be decimal. Now we are inserting certain data into that particular order info table using the insert statement. I have already created the order info table. Let us query the table and see the table. So here is the schema which we have already shown in the create statement, which has order ID, which is the primary key, then customer ID, then order date, then the corresponding product, what is the quantity, and what is the price. Now using this table we have to solve 10 different SQL questions. So the first question is to calculate how many orders were placed in January 2099. The second question is to find customers who placed the most number of orders. Then what is the total revenue from all orders? Fourth question will be find the average price of laptop sold. Then fifth, list customers who have ordered more than once. Then which product generated the highest total revenue? Then get the first order date for each customers. Then the eighth question will be find the month-wise total revenue. Ninth question will be which customer spent the most overall. That is, which customer is spending the maximum. Then finally we have to calculate the most frequent purchased product from the given order info table. So these are the 10 questions that we are trying to solve using the order info table which is given. Also, when we are given similar question, there won't be much explanation or additional info which will be given. The only question will be the 10 questions which are provided, and if there are any other assumptions that you want to make, that you can make without asking the interviewer, because he will only ask you to solve the question and will keep silent. So let us go through the first question, which is how many orders were placed in January 2099, so that we can see the result. So here we will start with select clause. Then since in the question it is given that particularly with respect to January 2099, here we are going to introduce a where clause, that is where month of order underscore order date equal to 1, which will be January. And now there is the second condition, that is year of order date should be 2099. This will fetch a record with respect to January 2099. Execute this and we have a record corresponding to only January 2099. Now we have to count the number of orders with respect to the result we have obtained. For that, we will use count, open and close parenthesis, distinct order ID, and this will be the order count, order underscore count. Now execute and we will get the order count with respect to January 2099. Execute and we have the order, that is 4 orders were placed on January 2099. That is the first query. Now going to the second question, which customer placed most number of orders? Now for that again we'll query the same order info table. Now from this table we have to calculate the customer or find the customer who placed most number of orders. For that what we will do here is we will write the expression with respect to customer ID. Now we have to count the number of order with respect to each customer. So for that count, open and close parenthesis, distinct order ID, which will be the order count column. Now after the from clause, we have to write a group by clause with respect to the same column which is available in the select clause, that is customer ID. Now we have to write the order by clause with respect to order count column, that is order by order underscore count, which should be in descending order. Now let us select the query till group by clause and run and see what is the result. So here we have customer ID and order count with respect to each customer, but we have to find the customer who placed the most number of orders. So we need to only obtain C001. For that, what we will do here is we will write a top one clause, that is top one with respect to order count. So execute and let us see the result. So now we can see that C001 is the customer who placed the maximum number of orders. So that is the second query. Now moving on to third question. What is the total revenue from all orders? For that, we will again use the same table, and from this table we have to calculate the total revenue from all orders. Now for that we have to make use of quantity column and price column. So here first we will multiply the quantity with price and calculate the total revenue in the third column, and then calculate the total revenue with respect to the entire table. So first additional to the already available columns. Now we will calculate a third column, which is total revenue. For that we will multiply quantity and price. Open and close parenthesis. Quantity multiplied by price, and this column we will name as revenue. Execute and we can see an additional column which is created, that is revenue with respect to quantity and price. Now we have to take the sum of revenue column. So we will place the first query inside a subquery. So here open and close parenthesis. Now write a query with respect to this subquery. Select sum of open and close parenthesis and revenue, which will give us total revenue. Now this is taken from the subquery, and we will give an alias name for the subquery. A, put a semicolon, execute the query, and we will get total revenue with respect to all orders. Execute, and this is the total revenue with respect to the entire table or the entire order within the order info table. Now this is the third solution. Now going to the fourth question, which is find the average price of laptop sold. Execute the select statement and we have the table. Now in the product column we can see that there are multiple items which are sold. The first will be laptop, then mouse is sold, then monitor is sold, then keyboard is sold. Similarly, there are multiple products which were sold. Now based on this, we have to calculate the average price of laptop sold. For this, first we will write a where clause. Where product will be equal to laptop. This is the first condition because we only want records corresponding to laptop. Execute, and we have the records corresponding to laptop. Now we have to find a third column using quantity and price. So for that, again we will multiply quantity and price to calculate the revenue with respect to each order ID. So open and close parenthesis, quantity, price, and this column will be named as revenue. Execute, an additional column will be created, that is revenue with respect to quantity and price based on the product laptop. Now this query we will place inside another subquery. Over here let us use the concept of CTE with T1 as, since in the previous question we saw the concept of subquery, here we will use CTE concept. So we place the first query inside a CTE. Now we will write the second query based on the CTE which we created, that is T1 CTE. Now write a select. Now we have to sum the revenue with respect to the revenue column which we have created, that is sum of open and close parenthesis revenue, which should be divided by the total quantity, that is sum of quantity. Now this will be the average price with respect to laptop. and this is taken from the CTE T1. Now execute and let us see the result we are obtaining. Execute, and this is the average price with respect to laptop sold in the particular orders. Now this is the fourth solution. Now going to the fifth question, we have to list customers who have ordered more than once. So again we will have to make use of the table order info. Now using this table we have to find the customers who have ordered more than once. First we have to calculate how many orders each customer has placed. For that we will write a select clause based on the customer ID column. Customer ID. Now we will count the distinct order with respect to each customer. That is distinct order ID, which will give us order count. That is order underscore count. Now we will write a group by clause. That is group by the same column, which is the customer ID column. Now we are going to write a having clause. Having the same query we will copy, that is count of distinct order ID, place it here. Now this should be greater than 1, which means customer should be placing more than one order. First let us execute the query without selecting the having clause, then it will be more clear. Execute, and we will get the customer ID along with the order count with respect to each customer. In our final result we should have customers who placed more than one order. So the result should be having customer ID C001 and C002, because both of the customers are placing more than one order, that is 3 and 2. So for that we are writing a having clause here, where count of distinct order ID should be greater than 1. Now execute and let us see if we are obtaining the result. Execute, and we have the result where we have customer ID and order count where customers are placing more than one order. This is the solution for fifth question. Now going to the sixth question, which product generated the highest total revenue? So for that we have to use the order info table and calculate the total revenue with respect to each product first. So this is the table. Now in order to see the schema, we will again execute a select star, because once we have the schema and we can see the schema, it is very easy to write the query. Now from this table we have to calculate the total revenue with respect to each product, and then we have to see which product generated the highest total revenue. So here also we are going to calculate a new column, which is the revenue column based on quantity and price. That is quantity multiplied by price, which will give us a revenue column. Execute, and now we have to take the summation of this revenue column with respect to each product. So for that the first query we will place inside a CTE. So with T1 as open and close parenthesis, select, the column will be product, comma, sum of revenue, and this will be the total revenue, and this is taken from the CTE T1. Now we have to write a group by clause based on product column. Execute this and let us see the revenue with respect to each product. Execute, and we have the revenue with respect to each product. Now we have to find the product which generated the highest total revenue. So for that we will write a order by clause here. Order by total revenue, which should be in descending order. Execute, and then we have to write a top clause with respect to the query or the result we are obtaining. Now laptop generated the maximum revenue. So in order to obtain that, we will write a top one over here. So we will only obtain the top one product with respect to total revenue. Execute, and we will get laptop which is generating the highest total revenue. Now moving on to the seventh question, get the first order date for each customer. Now again from the same table we are given two columns in order to calculate the result specific to this question, that is customer ID and order date. Now based on the customer ID column and order date column, we have to find the first order date for each customer. So we will remove the star from the select clause. And with respect to the customer ID column, we will again use an aggregate function, which is the min aggregate function, open and close parenthesis. And inside the parenthesis, we will specify the order date column. And this will be the first purchase date. And now we have to write a group by clause also with respect to the same column, which is the customer ID column, that is group by customer ID. Now execute, and we should be getting the first purchase date with respect to each customer. So this is the customer ID column, that is the distinct customer IDs, and this is the first purchase date which we found with respect to the order date which was given in the table. This is the query to obtain the first order date for each customer. So it is not first purchase date, it is first order date. We will correct that also. It is first order date. Execute this, and we have the first order date. Yeah, so we obtain the first order date. Now moving on to the eighth question, find the month wise total revenue. So for that, we are again given the same column, which is the order date column, and we are going to use that same order date column along with the quantity and price column to get the total revenue with respect to each month. So here again we will calculate the total revenue, that is quantity multiplied by price, this column named as revenue. Here we will make use of the concept of subquery. So we'll place the first query inside a parenthesis. Now select from the order date column, we have to obtain the date. Sorry, we have to obtain the month. So we will make use of the month function. Also, we will concat the year part also corresponding to the month that we are obtaining. So the first expression will be with respect to month, and then we are also calculating year with respect to the same order date column. Order date, and now sum of open and close parenthesis, and here we are going to use the revenue column which we have created. So revenue, and this will be the total revenue with respect to that particular month and year. Now we will have to write a group by clause also. Group by month order date and year order date. Copy the same expression, paste it here, execute, and let us see if we are obtaining the result. Execute. There is some syntax error, so it is because we have to introduce a from clause also here. From, now we will be getting the result. Execute, and there is another invalid column name quantity because there is a spelling mistake with respect to quantity column. Now it should be correct. Execute, and we have the result. The first column is month, second column is year, and third column is total revenue. So again we will make some small transformation over here because we will concat the month and year. So middle we need a hyphen. Now first argument will be month, second argument will be a hyphen, third argument will be year, and all these three expression we will place inside the concat function. Concat, copy the same thing we will place in the group by clause. Now execute, and let us see if we are obtaining the required output. So we have obtained a column where we have month and year along with total revenue. So we will give a name for this first column also, that is month underscore year. Execute, and we have the first column which is month year, and second column which is the total revenue. So we have obtained the month wise total revenue. Now moving on to the ninth question, which customer spent most overall? So we will write a select clause, and now we have to write the from clause with respect to order info table, that is order underscore info table. We have to calculate the customer who spent the most overall. So this is the customer ID, and from quantity and price column we have to calculate the total revenue with respect to each customer and find customer who spent the maximum. So again here we will calculate a revenue column. So open and close parenthesis, quantity multiplied by price as revenue. Execute, and we will have an additional column. We have an additional column. Then with respect to each customer ID, we have to calculate the total revenue generated by each customer ID. So the first query we will place inside a CT with T1 as open and close parenthesis, select customer ID, comma, sum of revenue, open and close parenthesis as total revenue. This is taken from CTE T1. Now write a group by clause. Group by customer ID, execute, and we will get the total revenue with respect to each customer. So this is the customer ID and this is the total revenue with respect to each customer. Now we have to find the customer who spent the most overall. So again we will write a top one and order by and obtain the result, or else we can also make use of window functions like raw number or rank to get the output. So here we will make use of the rank window function and get the output. So we will place the second query also inside a CT, that is T2 as open and close parenthesis. And now here we will add one more expression, that is select from T2 CTE star comma, now rank open and close parenthesis. Now write an over close, over open and close parenthesis. There is no partition, we have to write only an order by clause, that is order by total revenue, which should be in descending order, that is the rank as rank revenue. Now execute, starting from with close till T2, and let us see the result. Execute, and we have a rank created based on the total revenue column. Now we only need to obtain the result with respect to rank of revenue 1. So again we will place the third query inside a CT T3 as open and close parenthesis, select star from T3 where rank of revenue equal to 1. And now execute the query starting from the with clause, and we will get the customer who spent maximum or who generated maximum revenue from the order info table, that is customer C001. Now moving on to the final question, which is the 10th question. List the most frequently purchased product. For that we have quantity column, product column from the order info table. So we'll write a from clause with respect to order info table. Again to see the schema, execute, and we have a product column and quantity column. Now from these two columns we can identify the most frequently purchased product. So we'll calculate how many times a product has been purchased. Product comma sum of open and close parenthesis quantity as total quantity with respect to each product. Now we have to write a group by clause. Group by product. Now write an order by clause. Order by total underscore quantity, which should be in descending order. Execute, and we will have the quantity with respect to each product. Now from this result which we have obtained, we can identify the product which is frequently purchased. We can see that mouse is the frequently purchased product. So we will again write a top one, execute, and we will get the result with respect to product column. So this is the product which is frequently purchased, that is mouse. The same result can be obtained using ranking function also, similar to what we have done in the question number 9. The approach which we saw in question number 9 is the most scalable approach, because when there are multiple products which have total quantity same, this approach will not give us the required result, but instead if we make use of the approach which we saw in question number 9 using the window function, that is the ranking function, we will get the output in a more scalable manner. So these are the 10 questions which we can solve using the same order info table which was given. And these are very commonly used approaches in SQL interviews or data related roles. And these are also questions which are commonly asked. Hope you like this video. If you like this video, check out our channel for more advanced content in SQL and more advanced SQL interview questions. Thanks for watching and subscribe for more. Thank you.